What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to be looking at some of Bob Quinn's worst picks as the Detroit Lions general manager and also some of his best picks. So in this video, we are going to be taking a look at every single Bob Quinn draft pick from 2016 through 2018 and ranking them. We are going to be excluding 2019, so let's get it started. We're going to be excluding 2019 because I don't think it's fair to put these guys in this list. For example, I would have no idea where to put these guys. Some haven't played long enough, some didn't get much of a chance, some were injured, which we knew. So I don't think it's fair to put them in there after 1 year. Now, next season, then we can add these guys in. I wouldn't put them in the list because, for example, I would have no idea where to put a guy like TJ Hockenson. Okay, yes, he didn't have crazy good numbers, and you wouldn't think, oh, that's very good. But at the same time, tight ends usually take a little bit, and some of the greatest tight ends had numbers like he did this season. Austin Bryant. I would have no idea where to put Austin Bryant on this list either because, yes, I'm hoping he was a really good pick, and I think he was a good pick, but we have no idea because we only saw him in like 4 games, and he didn't really do anything. So I have no idea where I'm going to rank these guys. So I'm just going to exclude 2019, focus on 16, 17, and 18, which I think is a pretty good idea, 3 years of how Bob Quinn is drafting, and we're going to rank these players. Now, we're doing this kind of just for fun because, just to mix it up a little bit. So let's get this thing started. So we're going to hop in and start off at number 25 as the lowest. So there are 25. Now, there was actually one guy I was really confused with. I'll talk about him when I get there. But we're going to start this thing off at number 25, which is the lowest. This is the very bottom. This is the very bottom. Again, we are combining all years here, 2016, 17, and 18 as a Detroit Lions general manager. Well, coming in at number 25 is one that you probably expected, and that is Teez Tabor. This one, again, hurts me to put on here. I put him on here at number 1 on my worst, top 5 worst picks that Bob Quinn has made as Lions GM, and Teez Tabor makes a return here as the worst draft pick. Look, it's not so much that he didn't perform or that we had to release him. That's definitely hurt, but it's also the same fact that he was a second-round pick. It wasn't like we got this guy at the very end and we were hoping he could turn into something. You drafted this guy in the second round. Think of how many great players have been drafted in the second round. I mean, you have completely missed the boat on this one, drafting Teez Tabor. This was a huge letdown, and it's so unfortunate. He was off the Detroit Lions. He was waived by the Lions recently, well, before the season started. He allowed a perfect passer rating when he was playing, and now he's gone. So unfortunately, the man Teez Tabor comes in at last, and now let's hop into 24. So now hopping into 24 is Jimmy Lands. Jimmy Lands was a long snapper that we drafted back in 2016 in the 6th round of the draft. And again, I'm not sure what the heck the plan was here. Don Muhlbach was obviously our guy, and we drafted Jimmy Lands. Didn't work out. He still hasn't been able to work out. So yeah, I really don't know why you would draft a long snapper. I don't get it. I mean, there's usually not a lot of competition to go get a long snapper, but apparently we made our own rules, and he comes in number 24. Now, hopping in number 23 is Michael Roberts, who was a tight end that was drafted out of Toledo in the 4th round back in 2017. Unfortunately for Michael Roberts, he showed a couple games here and there that, hey, this guy could be a solid tight end for us, but overall it just wasn't meant to be. We pretty much redid our whole tight end core, right? We completely just redid it, got rid of our guys, brought in new ones, and Michael Roberts was part of that, getting rid of players, and he really just never showed us enough to keep on the team, and yeah, he was pretty much a letdown as a pick. In the 4th round, yes, 4th round isn't a bad spot. I mean, you would hope at least they have some impact, at least they're still on the team. In this case, that's not the case. Get it? Okay. Now let's hop into number 22, where I have Antoine Williams, who was drafted in the 5th round back in 2016. Not a lot to say here again. Just didn't go very well this draft pick. I did talk about a lot of these guys. Actually, all of these guys were in a video, Bob Quinn's top 5 worst draft picks as a Lions GM. So if you want to check that video out, you can. And I talk about these players even more. Now, I did switch it up a little bit here at number 21. Last time I had Jarrad Davis on the list at number 5. I was trying to consider. But I decided to move Jarrad Davis around a little bit. He's actually a lot higher on this list. I changed my mind when I looked at every single draft. With 21, we have Pat O'Connor, who was drafted in the 7th round back in 2017. Now, he was a 7th round pick, so I guess the expectations weren't super high, but I think a lot of people don't know who this player is, which is not a good thing, that you don't even know we drafted this player. I kind of forgot we drafted him, so I guess that tells you all you need to know. And if I'm being honest here, really the next 3, 4, really the next 5 players that I'm about to mention, you could put them anywhere you want on these on the rankings here, because none of them are really relevant anymore to the Lions. So at 20, I had Jeremiah Ledbetter. Yeah, I mean, these guys aren't very relevant anymore. This man was drafted back in the 6th round of 2017. He was an edge rusher. You may have forgot we drafted him as well. Yeah, he's not with us anymore. At number 19, we have Brad Kaya, who we drafted out of Miami as a backup quarterback. He didn't work out. Brad Kayev had a little bit of hope. We've seen him a little bit, but it just wasn't meant to be. He was drafted in the 6th round in 2017, but the year before that, in 2016 in the 6th round, the Lions drafted another quarterback, and that came at number 18, and that was Jake Rudock. So back-to-back misfires on quarterbacks. I did put Rudock a little bit higher because he came in one of our games. Other than that, I have no idea. It doesn't really matter. Now, coming in number 17 to kind of get out of this mess, this man is no longer with the Detroit Lions either, but that is Dwayne Washington. He had somewhat of an impact, but he averaged, career-wise for Lions, about 2.5 yards per carry, which isn't beautiful, obviously, but it isn't, I mean, it is pretty awful. But our offensive line wasn't great either. Dwayne Washington, you had sort of an impact, so you're on the list, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's still with the Saints now. He did move on to the Saints at one point, so he comes into 17. So not as bad as the other picks. Wasn't a very good pick, but you got to keep in mind, he was 7th round too. So if you have any 7th rounder that can have any kind of impact, at least you got something out of him. Now, coming in number 16, we have Nick Bawden, the 7th round pick drafted in 2018. Again, another 7th rounder. Yes, he hasn't played much. I believe he's played in like 5 games. Okay, injuries have really hurt him, but again, he's still a young player. We needed a fullback. At least we got a fullback now in Nick Bawden. I really, there's not a lot to say about him. There's not much we've seen, but again, he served somewhat of an impact. He's still on the roster, and he was drafted in the 7th round. So I feel like it's not completely awful. He comes in at 16. Now, hopping in number 15, we have A'Shawn Robinson, who was drafted in the 2nd round of 2016. Yeah, this is really low to have a 2nd round pick, but it's fair. A'Shawn, he's still here, which I guess is a good thing. I don't know how much longer he's going to be here. He could be gone after this offseason. There's a very good chance that is the case. He just hasn't put up very remarkable numbers. His career totals are around 120 tackles and 3 to 5 sacks. I mean, it has been pretty, it's been basically nothing. We haven't got much production out of him at all. He is young, so I guess that's something, drafted in 2016, but we just haven't really been able to find anything. When you think 2nd round pick, you think a guy that's going to give you a pretty solid impact. A'Shawn Robinson just never really gave us that. We'll see if he's here next season, but he comes in at 15. Now, hopping in number 14, I had this guy a lot higher on the list before, but I decided to move him down because he's no longer with us. But you guys need to comment below where you would put him. I honestly think he could go pretty high, but at the same time, this is like a really confusing one. I almost didn't put him on the list. That is Anthony Zettel. So I put Anthony Zettel at number 14, yes, above A'Shawn Robinson. I know. Again, we're taking into consideration how well you performed, but also what draft pick you were at. If you're a 7th round pick and you played pretty well, and you're a 1st round pick and you played really well, well, the 7th round pick's probably going to go higher because you weren't expecting a 7th round pick to have any impact. The 1st round pick is expected to do that, so keep that in mind. So with Anthony Zettel here, we drafted him in the 6th round back in 2016, and no, he has not had the most beautiful career, but he did have 6.5 sacks in one season with us, and after that season, we moved on from him. I don't know what we're doing. He went to Cleveland. I know, he didn't fit the scheme, but okay, whether or not he fit the scheme, he was a solid player. So I don't know exactly because, I'm not sure what was going on here, y'all. This is before Matt Patricia got here, so he doesn't fit Patricia's scheme. That's the story I was told, and that's why he's no longer with the Lions. But either way, he did have some valuable production for a 6th round pick, 6.5 sacks. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. He comes in at 14. Now, hopping in number 13, I do have Jared Davis. So Jared Davis wasn't able to get into the top 10, thank goodness. But he does fall at number 13. So a big jump here. He was a 1st round pick back in 2016. I didn't think it was fair to put him too low. We really don't have that many good picks, so he was kind of easy for him to fly up the board. You definitely would hope that your 1st round pick is better than what Jared Davis is, but I guess he's at least shown us a few things. He has had an over 100 tackle season, and he has had 5 to 6 sacks in a season. He's had okay numbers, hasn't been able to pass cover, but I mean, I guess he really couldn't do that in college either. So what we were expecting, he's reliable. He always shows a high motor, high energy. So, he comes in at 13. Not a good pick. I guess it's not an awful pick either. Now, let's hop into number 12, where we have Jalen Reeves-Maybin, who was drafted in the 4th round back in 2017. And Jalen Reeves-Maybin, yeah, he's a little bit higher than Jared Davis here. And they're thinking, well, wait a minute. Jalen Reeves-Maybin doesn't even play. Jared Davis does. Well, Jalen Reeves-Maybin was also a 4th round pick, and I had to move him up because, one, he's still on the team, which, honestly, when you're looking at these picks, that's a good thing because we don't have a lot of these guys that are still on the team. And Jalen Reeves-Maybin is. He also plays really well on special teams, and he does get his opportunity here and there. It's just a good thing that he's still on the team, and to me that means a lot. And honestly, there's not a lot of competition. He comes in at number 12. Hopping in number 11 is Terrell Crosby. You're probably thinking this dude is way too high, but honestly, like I said, how many players have I named that should be above him? Terrell Crosby was drafted back in the 5th round. So again, you could look at this almost as a steal. He's shown some depth. He's been able to help out when injuries have occurred. He can play both tackle positions. he has depth, and he's kind of reliable. He's not good, but he's somewhat reliable, and I guess that's all you can really ask for out of a 5th-round pick. He's still with the Lions, who was drafted 2018. He has a lot of potential still. Okay, 2018. I mean, that's 2 years ago. He's basically a rookie. He's almost a rookie. So, I'm going to give him more time, but at the same time, I don't think it was an awful pick. Now let's hop into number 10, who now we are into the top 10, and I'm not going to lie to y'all, the top 10 is still not beautiful. Coming in number 10, I have Kerryon. Yeah, he's a little bit higher than I would have liked him to be, but there wasn't much I could do. Kerryon Johnson, he was drafted 2nd round back in 2018. He has shown us glimpses of being an outstanding running back that was worth the 2nd-round pick. He has averaged over 5 yards per carry in his rookie season, but the one thing that is constantly holding him back is injuries. And honestly, it hurts me to say this, but that does lower how good of a draft pick it was. Because, yes, he's a talented player when he's healthy, but if he's not healthy, it doesn't matter. And he's not always healthy. And he's very unreliable with his health. That's back-to-back seasons with injuries, and he's only been in the league for 2 years. 2 big injuries, 2 major injuries that has cost him to miss most of the season, okay? So this is definitely very hurtful, but he does get into the top 10 because when we have seen him, we have seen why he was worth the 2nd-round pick back in 2018. He's still young. So we'll see if he remains on this team much longer, but Kerryon, you come in at number 10. Now let's hop in number 9, and now this is probably the shock of the list. This is Miles Killebrew. Now, calm down. I know you're thinking to yourself, that is awful, but I don't think it is. Miles Killebrew was drafted back in 2016, which means he's coming up on potentially his 4th year here. If he stays here, I don't know how much longer he's going to stay here. Miles Killebrew is versatile. He can play multiple positions. When we asked him to move to linebacker, he could. When we asked him to move back to safety, he could do it. He can play special teams. Not a great, talented special player. But again, he was drafted in the 4th round. And, for most teams, you would think, maybe just somewhat of impact. For us, 4th round is usually no impact at all. I mean, we are seeing guys that have been drafted 3rd round maybe or later or earlier sometimes, like 2nd round, where they basically have no impact. Tease Tabor, hint, hint. We have missed out on so many picks. It makes Miles Killebrew look like a heck of a steal. So I am going to put him at number 9, and I'm okay with that. Let's hop into number 8, and we have Jamal Agnew. Again, not the most talented player on this list, but he was drafted in the 5th round, and you're getting a guy in the 5th round who has served an impact every year he's been here. He was drafted in 2017. He was an all-pro type of returner at one point. Now, he started off awful this season, but he bounced back with a couple of returns. I believe he actually had 2... He had 1 punt return and 1 kick return, I believe, this season. He has the explosiveness. He's definitely not a cornerback, so if you want to play him there, don't do it. But he can return kicks, and at the 5th round, I'll take it. Now, let's hop at number 7, and this one was hard for me. This is Deshaun Hand. I feel like we've seen the potential for Deshaun Hand to be properly listed this high, but at the same time, we've also seen not enough because he just isn't healthy. Like other players on his list, he hasn't been super healthy. Now, I will give him a little bit of benefit that he was drafted in 2018, so he hasn't been here but 2 years. Unfortunately, this year didn't work out as planned, so maybe he'll come back next season, he'll play. But we know what he can do. It's just, can he be healthy? And since he's only been in the league for 2 years and he was drafted in the 4th round, the talent that we have seen on display makes me think that it's worth putting him this high. Again, a 4th round pick, I think he could potentially be a steal if he can find a way to get healthy. Coming in at number 6, we have Taylor Decker. So you're probably thinking Taylor Decker's too high. Well, I don't think he is. Taylor Decker actually wasn't awful. He was a solid tackle this year, graded by Pro Football Focus. He wasn't great, but he was okay. He got by. He can save his job. He's a solid left tackle. He's a young player drafted in 2016. Probably wasn't the best 1st round pick, but again, he's still here, and obviously that's a good thing. You got a guy that's consistently relied on. He hasn't been benched, so that's a good thing, I guess. He comes in at number 6. Now, we're going to hop into the top 5, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. There's kind of a drop-off between 6 and 5 here. I feel like these top 5 are very worthy of their top 5 picks. Meanwhile, after the 5, it's kind of a mess. Coming in number 5, I have Joe Dahl. And no, it's not just because he can do it all. Well, it has something to do with that. But Joe Dahl was drafted in the 5th round back in 2016. He is still on the roster. He can play pretty much every position you ask him to. He has started 13 games this season. 13 games. So it's not like he just sits behind. He's not just a backup. No, he actually plays in games. He can play all the positions. He steps in when there's injuries. He's very reliable. Like I said, he can do it all. Okay, he can play fullback. What else can you ask for from a 5th round pick? Yeah, I like the Joe Dahl pick. I actually love it. That's why he comes in the top 5. Now, hopping in number 4 is Tracy Walker. We haven't seen a ton of him, but Tracy Walker clearly looks like our best safety, especially after trading away Quandre Diggs. We traded away Quandre Diggs, and we needed someone to be a leader. Tracy Walker is our best safety. Hopefully, he can continue to help out these young guys, like Will Harris, and continue to help them grow. But Tracy Walker himself is going to be special. I can already see it. And to get him in the 3rd round, not bad. Not bad, Quinn. I'm okay with that. Hopping in number 3, we have Frank Ragnow. Now, this is a 1st round pick back in 2018. So yeah, he was super high and you would have higher expectations, but I feel like he's lived up to pretty much every single expectation. You draft a lineman in the first round and hope he's going to be a stud. That's what you hope. We have done that multiple times, and multiple times we have missed out on studs. But this time I think we actually finally hit one in Frank Ragnow, and that's why he's coming in number 3. One of the top centers when he moved there. He can also play guard. He's really good, and he's young. He's a beast. He comes in at 3. Now, hopping in number 2, we have Graham Glasgow, who could potentially not be with the Lions after the season. Not because he's bad, but because he wants the money, because he is that good of a player. Drafted in the 3rd round back in 2016. I hope we can find a way to keep him around. Again, versatility is huge here. It's key for offensive linemen. They can move around. They can play different positions. He can play guard. He was center first. Then they threw him at guard. He's from Michigan, which automatically adds 10 horsepower. He is a good player, okay? Graham Glasgow has been very reliable for us, maybe our most reliable offensive lineman, and he comes in at number 2. But finally, coming in at number 1, I don't even need to say it. I might as well just send a video. Y'all know who it is. It's Kenny G. Drafted in the 3rd round back in 2017, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL who was snubbed out of the Pro Bowl. I don't care about that crap. No one knows his name, but we know he's the GOAT. Kenny Golladay, the next coming of Calvin Johnson. I won't go that far, but he is outstanding. Drafted in the 3rd round. You want to talk about a steal of the decade? Kenny Golladay can go on that list. He comes in at number 1. Let me hear your thoughts, comments below. I know these are a little bit wacky, but I tried my best. I don't think you can go wrong with some of these bottom ones because you can make a case that a lot of these guys, I don't know. There's really no argument for a lot of these guys. So there you go. Let me hear your thoughts and comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.